Everyone wants a thick and aesthetic upper back, but most people don't know how to train it. Let me guess, you think doing a row will get you that mid-back thickness, right? Well, that might not be as optimal as you think. Rows are overrated, and that's just one of the misconceptions that people have when it comes to upper back training. Listen, my name is Dima, and I've been focused on aesthetics and the science of muscle building ever since I started lifting. And in this video, I'll break down exactly how to build an aesthetic upper back. I'll explain exactly what exercises you need, discussing Kelso Shrugs, T-bar rows, and everything in between. And I'm also going to share my top 3 secrets that will skyrocket your upper back growth. And yo, real quick, I know everyone's been asking me about my split, and instead of giving you my split, I'm going to give you my system. And look, this isn't just a $20 PDF with a few exercises, it's a full system, fully organized, optimized for aesthetics, and built to get real results. And don't worry, there's zero pressure. If you're serious about results and want everything in one place, this system is for you. But if not, no stress, you can just keep learning from my free videos. Alright guys, before we actually get into the functions and exercises of the upper back, we have to make something very clear. We have to ask the question of, what do we actually want to hit? Because look, there's the actual upper back, which is the traps and the rhomboids, and there's the rear delts. And both obviously play a huge role when it comes to looking aesthetic from the back. And the thing is, they're two different muscles. I highlighted these photos to make it clear, but on the left here, we can see that this is the actual region of the upper back. That's the traps and the rhomboids. And here on the right, this is the rear delts. So here's the $1 million question. Should we isolate the rear delts and the upper back? You'll see my answer as the video continues, but since this is an upper back guide, let's focus on the upper back. The functions of the upper back are very simple. It's scapular retraction. That's it. And what scapular retraction is bringing the shoulder blades together. Literally just test this at home. All you're gonna do is bring your shoulder blades together. Do you feel your upper back, your traps and rhomboids? So guys, now that we understand the functions of the upper back, this brings us to the problem with rows. And I'm talking every row. It doesn't matter what you're talking about. If it's a T-bar row, machine row, wide grip row, barbell row, all rows have the same issue. Firstly, the biceps are inevitably involved due to elbow flexion. This is almost unavoidable. When you're doing a row, your biceps are working. Secondly, and more importantly, the rear delts are also involved. Because of the arm movement, a row becomes straight up a rear delt exercise for a lot of people. And yes, the traps and rhomboids are also very involved when doing a row, but the question is, what's the limiting factor? Spoiler alert, for a lot of people, the reason they stop doing a row is probably not because of the traps and rhomboids. And guys, to answer that question at the start, yes, you should isolate. If you want to be optimal, you should not do compound lifts, but you should actually isolate the specific muscle you want to target. Listen, because isolation exercises stimulate a target muscle more effectively, isolating scapular retraction allows the upper back to be trained more directly. And look, I know everyone's gonna hate me, but I'm gonna ask you the question. Would you do pull-ups to hit biceps? Would you do deadlifts to hit glutes? Maybe you will, and it'll work. You'll grow muscle, but it's not optimal, and it's often very hard to tell what the actual limiting factor is unless you isolate. So that brings us to the actual exercises. And guys, the main lift you should do for your upper back is a Kelso Shrug. Kelso Shrug is the best exercise to isolate your mid-back. And listen guys, I've only personally been doing the Kelso Shrugs for a couple months, and I've grown my mid-back more in those few months than my entire lifting career doing all types of rows. Guys, just trust me, Kelso Shrug equals mid-back growth. So to do a Kelso Shrug properly, grab the handles with straight arms and around shoulder height. Both a neutral or overhand grip works. Then simply pull your shoulders back, squeezing your shoulder blades together. This is literally the function of the mid-back. The form is very difficult to get right at first, but avoid bending the elbows or moving your arms as much as possible. And this is the example of me performing a Kelso Shrug. You see, I do it simply on a Smith machine and an incline bench, and it works perfectly fine. But you can pretty much do this on any row movement. Just remember to have chest support. So the Kelso Shrug is the greatest exercise when it comes to your mid-back, specifically the traps and rhomboids. But if you're gonna replace a row with a Kelso Shrug, understand that you now need an isolated rear delt movement. And here are some examples of a few good rear delt movements, but I'm planning on making a full shoulder guide very, very soon. So stay tuned. Now, for everyone that still wants to do a row, that'll work perfectly fine. But the best recommendation for you is going to be a wide grip row with these specific parameters. The first big thing you have to focus on is to not tuck your arms and to keep them flared. I'm talking keeping them 80 or 90 degrees your entire movement. Listen, when I watch most people row, they start pretty well at 80 or 90 degrees, but what happens when they approach closer and closer to failure? It starts to get harder and they begin to tuck their arms and slowly bring them in. Now you're engaging the lats and the stimulus is off your rear delts and mid back. So absolutely be sure that you're flaring your elbows. Secondly, if you want this to be an effective compound movement, then remember, you have to do scapular retraction. And this is kind of a skill you have to learn. A lot of people row, but don't actually retract their scapula. So start with very light weight and maybe even record your set. Make sure that you're actually bringing your shoulder blades together and not just doing a bicep and rear delt movement. So those are your two options when it comes to mid back. The first one is going to be a Kelso Shrug, where you're isolating scapular retraction with an added isolated rear delt exercise. Your second option is going to be to do that compound row, where you're hitting your traps and rhomboids and your rear delts at the same time. Just make sure you follow the form cues. So guys, before we talk about frequency and volume, that leads us to the first secret of upper back growth, which is don't row for your upper back. And listen, it's a very hot take. No one says this, but at the end of the day, isolating specific functions is more effective than doing the compound version. Will the compound version work? Of course, but isolation is more optimized. All right, so now let's talk about the frequency and volume. And honestly, guys, frequency and volume stays the same for every muscle. Basically, the more high quality volume and the more frequency you throw at a muscle, the more it's gonna grow. If you're aiming to fully prioritize for the upper back, then I would say try and have a frequency of 3 times a week and do about 10 sets per week. That's 10 sets for both upper back and rear delts. And guys, you can definitely grow with way less than this, but this is simply if you want to prioritize for the upper back. Okay, now that you understand pretty much everything, I'm gonna give you a sample plan so you can add this to your routine. But before that, we just discussed the second secret to upper back growth, which is 3 times a week frequency. Look guys, I might sound crazy saying this, but I genuinely think there's only a handful of people in the world that are doing Kelso Shrugs 3 times a week. And if you want to prioritize for the upper back, then this is a great idea. The more frequency, the more high quality sets you can fit into a program. So now guys, let's look at the sample plan. And the sample plan is very, very simple. First, a few notes. We're gonna be doing 5 to 15 reps on each of these exercises. And honestly guys, unless you're fully confident and have the form 100% locked in, I would recommend slightly higher reps for the Kelso Shrug. So going up to 10 to 15. If your form's good though, lower reps are perfectly fine. We're obviously gonna be training to failure, or at least very, very close to it. And in this specific sample plan, we're gonna be doing 9 sets total. And here's the plan. It's super simple. On Monday, 3 sets of Kelso Shrugs, 3 sets of rear delts. On Thursday, 3 sets of Kelso Shrugs, 3 sets of rear delts. And on Saturday, 3 sets of Kelso Shrugs, 3 sets of rear delts. You don't have to be a genius to draw out this routine, but I promise guys, follow this routine for a year or even a couple months, and if your upper back doesn't absolutely explode, then you can trade your like for a dislike. And guys, that's the full guide to the upper back. Essentially, you can do Kelso Shrugs and rear delts, or you can do a compound movement, that being the row, and hit both at the same time. But when it comes to being optimal, you know what I'm gonna recommend, guys. Go for the isolation. It's gonna hit the target muscle better, and you're gonna be confident that the limiting factor is actually the muscle you want to train. Comment your thoughts or questions down below. Have you guys ever actually tried the Kelso Shrug? Let me know. Leave a like if you learned anything or just enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more content every single week. And again guys, if you guys want my specific split and specific system, then it's the first link in the description. Get it before the pre-sale ends.